I don't know about you, but I am so delighted that the budget is almost upon us, not because of the content, I think it's going to be disastrous, but because, honestly, I'm not sure how much more speculation I could have coped with, actually. We've only got about 48 hours or less, perhaps, of that to go. But anyway, today the focus has been on the whole situation about welfare spending. This is a tough debate, one that really does divide people, but now it's looking likely that benefit spending is going to raised by up to £15 billion in the budget.
This important interruption is brought to you by ExpressVPN. Protect your money and your identity. Click the link in the description or scan the QR code here to get ExpressVPN right now and save up to 73% on annual plans today. Right, let's get back into it.
Kemi Badenoch, she was addressing the CBI today, and she was basically suggesting that the rider has essentially become heavier than the horse, that we are tipping ourselves so much in favour of welfare states now that it's just unsustainable. What are you doing? Do you think you've got the balance right?
I think it's a process, Michelle, to be honest with you. So earlier this year, we know we had the big fallout over the welfare reforms because lots of MPs, including myself, just wanted to hear what the plan was to help people into work before we ripped away their safety mats, I suppose. And I think we are in this sort of like stagnant place where the welfare bill is higher than it's ever been, where we need to be supporting people into work. But sometimes if you're in this, and I know I keep hearing this word quite frequently, a doom loop of I can't help myself to help myself, then where does that leave us? And one thing I am expecting from welfare reforms, obviously there's the TIMD review happening over the next few months, is I would expect that it will probably be harder to claim benefits, and actually once you're on benefits, you'll be expected to say how you're expected to demonstrate how you're going to get yourself into work. But also we need to be creating those job opportunities for people as well. We've got, as I'm probably preaching to the converted, but we have record levels of people out of employment, education or training, and we are addressing that. The Prime Minister said at Labour Party conference that what he wants to do is get rid of the target under the last Labour government to get 50% of people to university. I didn't go to university. My daughter's 18. She doesn't want to go to university. She wants to do an apprenticeship. So what we do want to do is make sure that 75% of people have the opportunity to go to university or do a gold standard apprenticeship. Just last week, I was at the launch of the construction task force in Parliament that I was supporting. We have got one of the construction centres of excellence happening in Derby College, just across the way from my patch. I've created a relationship between Checkatrade and my local college where we're going to be upskilling traders. But to do all that, to create that pipeline of talent, we need to start by supporting people when they need it the most.
Every time you're online, your money and your identity are at risk. Scams now make up nearly 40% of all crime in the UK. That's thousands of attacks every single day. In Britain, someone has their identity stolen every 2 minutes, leaving victims with wrecked finances and years of stress. The threat is real, and you could be next. ExpressVPN is your shield against criminals. It locks down your devices, hiding your personal information and financial details from hackers, scammers, and anyone else looking to exploit you. So whether you're checking your bank, shopping, or just browsing, ExpressVPN makes you invisible to prying eyes trying to steal your money and your identity. ExpressVPN shields your data with military-grade AES 256 encryption. That's the same standard trusted by the US government to guard classified information. This is the highest level of online security you can get. So don't wait for disaster. Secure up to 14 devices at once and get powerful password protection. Real support is available 24/7 because cybercrime never sleeps. Save up to 73% on annual plans today. Every moment you hesitate is another moment you're exposed. Protect your money and protect your identity. Get ExpressVPN right now.
That's great, but then why then did Labour's own backbenchers rebel to the point where Keir Starmer's attempts to pass even $5 billion of welfare reforms, a tiny microcosm, a drop in the ocean of what's required, get basically stymied because I don't know whether you were someone who would you have voted for that? The thing that Labour backbenchers refused?
It is a well-known fact that I put my name on the Wrecking Bill amendment and then I took my name off the Wrecking Bill amendment because the whole bill could not risk falling because of this one issue. But the one thing I was uncomfortable with, let me just finish answering your question.
We have the welfare bill continuing to spiral out of control.
Then let me just finish answering your question. The problem that we actually had, MPs that were uncomfortable with it, is we were saying we're going to cut your benefits, but we weren't saying how we were going to help people to help themselves. And that's the bit that was missing, and that's the bit that's coming.
So you think people who wake up in the morning and go to work to pay their taxes, you just continue? I mean, again, that was $5 billion. That is a drop in the ocean.
But not when you're kicking people to the curb as you do it.
It's currently a runaway train to which the entire economy is attached, and it is taking the entire country to bankruptcy. We have laid out £25 billion of savings that can be made immediately for this fiscal year coming by Rachel Reeves, if she chooses to do it, by asking foreign nationals to bear the brunt of the, quote, difficult decisions to be made. There's no evidence that Rachel Reeves is going to do any of that, again, because all of those things you said sound great, but the reality is Keir Starmer and, in fact, Rachel Reeves are now so neutered, so politically castrated, frankly, that their own backbenchers will rebel against any sort of welfare reform.
Do you know what's quite interesting, Zia, is it's very easy to say from a position of opposition how easy everything would be if you only just did this. But even your own councillors, I'm not going to have a dig because we've got the same challenges happening with Derbyshire County Council, which became reform in May. Down in Kent, in Derbyshire, we have got your councillors saying, oh, God, actually, it's not quite as easy as we thought it was going to be. Oh, we'll have Doge come in and make a load of cost savings. And actually, it's not as easy as you think it's going to be. So sitting in a position of opposition is one thing.
So
actually having to deal with the decisions
is going to try,
power.
for example, what we have said, number one, and this could absolutely be done by primary legislation, you could end welfare payments for foreign nationals, right? That would save double-digit billions of pounds every year and would compound over the coming decades. Is that something the Labour government would do?
So we've absolutely said, as part of the upgrades to the immigration and asylum system, that we're absolutely going to overhaul who can and can't claim benefits.
So you're going to end welfare payments for foreign nationals?
Honestly, I'm not even going to answer that question with a yes or no because I don't have the detail, and you will not find me giving an answer to a question I don't know the answer to.
That as a no,
that's I don't know. No, Zia, it's I don't know.
Okay. It's quite an interesting thing to not know. Given, do you know how much the British taxpayer currently spends on welfare for foreign nationals?
No, I don't.
Do you know how much they spend on welfare for universal credit?
No, I don't, off the top of my head. And if you're trying to shame me by asking me to have this information right now, then...
If we're going to have a conversation, a serious conversation...
Well, what's the answer? Because my viewers won't know either.
Well, the answer, the British government currently, and the Tories did this too, they hide the data, Michelle, in terms of welfare payments to foreign nationals. The one major exception to that is universal credit, where it is £8 billion this coming year alone that will be shelled out by people watching this programme who pay their taxes that goes directly to foreign nationals. That's just universal credit. That number is growing exponentially.
And do you know what position?
Evidence that Labour are even trying
Just
to
one
solve
second,
that
though.
problem.
But so that is a really broad, sweeping brush to bash people over the head with. Do you know the personal circumstances?
Yes,
it is. Let me finish.
Anybody over there
yes, it
with anything.
You've just said this is the figure.
If British taxpayers pay their taxes, they go to work and they pay their taxes.
How do you know how many? How do you know?
Position to say that taxpayer money should only go if it's welfare.
Right, but how do you not know that those foreign nationals have not been over here working for years and years and their circumstances changed, and then they needed to be in a position where they were supported for a period
in
of
this
time.
country and they are currently requiring the British taxpayer to fund them, then I'm sorry, they have broken the contract that is implicit in an immigrant being in this country.
So if they lose their job through no fault of their own, you're saying they shouldn't be entitled to support to get back on their feet so they can continue contributing to this country?
Yeah, we are saying that it is totally unconscionable for bricklayers and nurses and people working in retail stores to go to work and pay their taxes so that foreign nationals can benefit from their welfare payments.
So just addressing...
That's acceptable.
All right,
and what
just
Labour
addressing
are doing
that.
instead, what your Chancellor is about to do is raise taxes on everybody whom I have just mentioned in order to continue to fund a food bank for the world.
No.
And that is the point.
No,
Either
that's not
somebody's
true.
got to pay... somebody has got to bear the brunt of the, quote, difficult decisions to be made.
So here's the start. Let me get a word in edgewise, please,
It's always British citizens who have to pay the brunt.
Let me get a word in edgeways, because a stat that came out when we were having the same similar argument over immigration being a challenge, and that was a reason we needed to Brexit, was that there was this sweeping assumption that people that were immigrants in this country were absolute takers, when actually, on balance, if you look at a British national born here, lived here, over their lifetime, what they give and what they take comes in at net neutral. Immigrants add to our economy. So again, you're using such a sweeping brush, like, oh, there's an $8 billion bill for this, without looking at the bigger picture of what they're actually contributing.
We are talking about removing welfare payments to foreign nationals by definition.
So we really can't help them back into the workplace to become taxpayers again.
To taxpayer welfare payments, by definition, they are not adding to the economy.
But they want to get back into the workplace to add to the economy.
Great. Well, in that case, we should again. Here's the point. Who is going to have to pay for this? What Rachel Reeves is going to keep doing is saying tough decisions need to be made. A farmer was driven to suicide because of the inheritance tax raid that Rachel Reeves has put on farmers. I speak to so many business owners, I'm sure you do too, in your constituency, who are struggling under the increase in national insurance contributions that she's putting through. Now she's talking about a milkshake tax and a sugar tax and all sorts of different taxes that she's going to come out with.
But to have a healthy workforce, they need to be healthy, so we need to fix the NHS, which is why we need the taxes.
There are people who are going to have to pay the price for these, quote, difficult decisions. The difference between Reform and Labour is we're saying the people who should first and foremost bear the brunt of that are foreign nationals and not British citizens. And frankly, Labour have the opposite view.
So if you come over here at the age of 18 as a foreign national, start working, at the same age as a British-born person at 18 starts working, and 10 years later, you have an unfortunate set of circumstances, you're saying that foreign national shouldn't be entitled to support to get back on their feet in the same way as the British national who started earning money at the same stage.
You think those two people should be treated the same way, despite the fact that one is a foreign national and one is a UK citizen. The fact that you're even asking me
No, it's basic maths here.
Tells you
it's basic maths.
That you need to know.
No, it tells you nothing.
State,
it does not tell you everything you need to know.
To serve the interests of the British people.
I would agree with you, and the British people benefit from the taxpayer.
No serious country operates on the basis that somebody who just arrived yesterday can now come and claim benefits. And that's before we talk, by the way, about the insane illegal migration and asylum programme.
One thing we are getting rid of. You can't just come here and start claiming benefits.
To answer your question directly, yes, a British citizen should be treated differently because the British state exists to serve the British people.
Yeah, but one of the things that people at home are shouting at their screens is, and they'll disagree with both of your party's policies on this, when it comes to the two-child benefit cap. There was a poll conducted.
I'm not sure they would, but...
Well, there was a poll conducted, the most recent one I can find anyway, was conducted in July. I think it was by YouGov. It said that 59% of people were against the scrapping of the two-child benefit cap. And many people who are, to quote you, alarm clock workers, they get up, they graft, they will do considered decisions when it comes to family planning. How many children can I afford to have in my family? They will limit themselves to perhaps one child, two child, perhaps no children, based on their financial circumstances. They will feel it grossly unfair that if there is another family down the road who have had 4, 5, 6, 7, infinite amount of children, that they should be able to get an infinite amount of benefits.
So can I just clarify? So that poll, generally when they do these polls, they just talk about lifting the two-child cap writ large. Right? Mm-hmm. Reform's policy is to lift it with very specific caveats for very specific people. Only for British citizens and where both parents are in work. Right? That is a very different thing to lifting it writ large. And that would mean, by the way, both parents are in work. They're not just watching daytime TV 7 days a week and not contributing anything. For those people, yes, we would support lifting the two-child cap. But again, this is for British citizens where both parents are in work. And I actually think most people watching this programme would agree with that, Michelle.
And what do you say? Because you don't have those caveats on your policy. The cap was put in place essentially so that people on benefits could never out-earn, so to speak, working parents. Don't you have a concern that we're perhaps incentivising people to make reckless decisions based on a lack of personal responsibility and expecting taxpayers just to pick up that tab? Yeah,
so a couple of key things on that. I am the daughter of people that have had to be on benefits for personal reasons. I wouldn't say that they just sit all day watching daytime television and are lazy.
Some
secondly,
do,
well, of course
I'll
some
say
do,
your
but
parents,
of
some
course,
do.
yeah, no, of course some do. But like the way you've made that another broad sweeping brush. So I absolutely understand, like Michelle, I do, and I have these conversations with my constituents. The trouble is, thinking of the bigger picture. One, if we know it's not polling well, then you really have got to think that there is a real economic reason for us doing this. And without like Labour Party briefings or what have you, just my gut instinct on this would be, we have got a falling birth rate. So, you know, we are going to be putting an incredible falling birth rate and an ageing population that is getting sicker as it gets older. So we're putting a huge burden on the next generation because there are fewer of them. So if we are not putting people off having children, that is one good thing. We are doing that alongside bringing things back like Best Start hubs and giving children a good start in life and filling their tummies in school so that they can learn. We're bringing back apprenticeships so that we can get people into the workplace. So it's bigger picture, I think.
I was off the other day, but I did manage to catch up on a few bits and pieces, and I saw a video. I can't remember who shared. I don't know if it's the Labour Party or someone else, and it was surveying parents on the street, and it was vox popping, they call it. We're asking these parents, look, we've got these breakfast clubs now. What difference would it make to you in your life now if you've got these free breakfasts? You should have heard all the parents. They were talking about, I can now go for a coffee with my friend. I can do a bit of housework. I can do this. I can do. I thought, well, hold on a second. I thought that all these taxpayers had to fund your child's breakfast because you apparently were so poor that you were desperately having to go out to work earlier. It confused me, that did. What do you make to it all, ladies and gents? Get in touch and tell me your thoughts.